Patrick, maybe you could talk a little bit. Why is this worth it? What would reform actually achieve for the people who rely on the Ombudsman?
Good afternoon. Of course it makes a big difference. Rob referred to the picture of Nelson Mandela. If I can refer to Nelson Mandela again. When he came over to Britain after his incarceration from Robben Island, he met a family, the Lawrence family, and they were struggling for justice for the murder of their son Stephen, which was done by racists, covered up by the police. And then Nelson Mandela heard this case, met the family, and guess what he did? He spoke to Jack Straw, and he said, "You better sort this out." And that led to the Macpherson report. It led to changes in the law, the Race Relations Amendment Act of 2010, which is now codified in the equality legislation. But if then we roll the clock forward 27 years later to the Windrush scandal, where the only reason why the government took seriously the needs and the issues around the scandal was initially the great work that Emilio Genta was doing profiles in the Guardian newspaper, but it wasn't taken seriously then, even though there was a debate at parliamentary question time raised on one of the cases. It actually took Caribbean diplomats, and it's very rare for diplomats to actually criticise a host country, but 14 of the Caribbean diplomats, which reflect CARICOM, they were lobbying the Foreign Commonwealth Office and the Home Office, raising these concerns. But it's when I did my petition, which on the UK government website that over 200,000 people signed, that gave the permission for everyone to really say enough is enough. So I think, yes, you're quite right, Rob. Yes, you should have been there earlier, but maybe you weren't allowed to be there earlier. Because I think when you look at the name Parliamentary Ombudsman, yes, we need to get the red man, definitely, and make it gender neutral. We have to, otherwise we are excluding a whole range of part of British society. We've moved on in Britain in the last 20 odd years in terms of gender, race equality, sexual orientation, age. And so the new body, if there was to be a new body, has to reflect Britain in the 21st century, not Britain of the 20th century. Actually, it's to reflect Britain in the 22nd century, basically. So I think one of the key issues around what does it look like for ordinary citizens, whether from black, brown communities, whether from women, people feel that if I go forward to make a complaint, will I be taken seriously? Will you do something with this? But to do that, people have to feel there's trust and confidence in the system. And we still have a lot of work to do around trust and confidence. I mean, I think the pandemic has further reinforced the need for all public bodies to work that extra harder to gain the trust and confidence of communities. A survey was done last year by Black Equity Organisation, new organisation, and they interviewed over 2,500 people of African Caribbean heritage in the UK, and asked some serious questions about trust and confidence. And the vast majority of people don't trust the NHS, even less so with the police, and even politicians. So there's still a lot of work to do around trust and confidence. So if we're going to have an independent accountable body, which is part of the system, it has to demonstrate over and above that it can build up trust and confidence.
Great. Many thanks, Patrick.